Good morning. In this session, we will talk about the elastic block storage. What is a elastic block storage? It is a EBS, simply called it as EBS. EBS is a virtual storage, and then whereas instance previously discussed about the instance is a virtual machine VM, but whereas EBS is a virtual storage. Here EBS, what is a EBS? EBS is a elastic block storage. Here, what are the extra information about the EBS? EBS allows you to create a storage volumes. Here, you may create the different storage volumes and then attach those volumes to EC2 instance. Here, once storage is created, you can create the file system on the top of these volumes. Here, first you create this volume. After that, you create the some file system on the top of these volumes, and then you can run the database, storage files, application. That means even use them block device in some way. Here, EBS volumes are placed in a specific availability zone. That means automatically you will, for example, Mumbai availability zone. You may place the any availability zone, and they are automatically replicated to protect you from the failures of the that means not a single one. You may place the more number of availability zone. EBS volumes does not exist on one disk. It's spread across the availability zone. EBS volume is a disk which is attached to the EC2 instances. That means we will create the EBS volume. After that, you will attach to the EBS instances. And then EBS volumes attached to EC2 instance where the window or Linux install on the root device. That is a some description about this one. EBS and EBS volumes, and then you have a different types of EBS volumes are available. If it comes to the yeah, if it comes to the here EC2 dashboard, you will identify the different types of volumes here. Here, what are the different types of? If it comes to the elastic block storage, here click on volumes. Here click on volumes. It's asking you to create a volume. Yeah, create volume. Then you will identify the different types of volumes here. What are the different types of volumes? You have a two types of volumes are there. SSD, HDD. Here the SSD are divided into two types. One is a general purpose SSD, other one is a provision IOPS SSD, and then HDD. HDD is also divided into three types: cold HDD, throughput optimized HDD, magnetic standard HDD. We will discuss all these one by one. Here comes to the this one. Here you have a two types of volumes are there: SDD and then HDD. Here coming to the SDD, the SDDs. What is the SDD? Here, what are the some information about the SDD? Here, this is a SDD. What is an SDD? SDD stands for solid state drives. Here, that means SDD storage was introduced in the year 2014. It is a general purpose storage. That means it supports the 4000 IOPS, which is a quite very high. Here, IOPS means input or here IOPS. How can you represent IOPS? Input or output operation for the second. It's 1000. That means this one, the general purpose STD supports a 4000, not general purpose STD types. And some other information about this one here is a SDD storage is a very high performing, but it is expensive. Here compared to the HDD drive, hard disk drive storage, it is a the SDD is a very expensive. Here the SDD volume types are optimized for the transactional workload, such as a frequent read or write operation with small IO size, where the performance attribute is a IOPS. Here the SDD further divided into general purpose SDD and provision IOPS SDD. Here come to the first one, general purpose SDD. SSD, general purpose SSD. Here what is a general purpose SSD? Here it also called it as a GP2. The general purpose SSD volume that balances the both price and performance. That means you can get the ratio of 3 IOPS for the GB with up to 10,000 IOPS. The ability to burst up to 3,000 IOPS for extended period time volume at the 3,000 gigabytes and above. That is some information about the general purpose STD. Coming to the provisioned IOPS STD. What is a provisioned IOPS STD? Here it also referred as a IO1. The provisioned IOPS STD also referred as a IO1. It is mainly used for the high performance application. What are the high performance application? Intensive application, a relational database. It also designed for IO intensive applications. What are those one here? Large relational or no SQL databases. Here, the very important thing here is it is used when you require more than 10,000 IOPS. That is the main purpose you are using this one. The next concept here is a HDD. HDD stands for hard disk drive. HDD, you have a three types of HDDs are there. Here you will identify the three types here. What is a HDD? HDD based based storage introduced in the 2008. The size of HDD based on a based storage could be between 1 GB to 1 TB. It can support up to 100 IOPS, whereas previously SDD support 10,000 IOPS, which is very low. That is a SDD. Here we have a three types of SDD are there: throughput optimized HDD, cold HDD, magnetic volume HDD. Here come to the first important throughput optimized HDD. Here, what is exactly throughput optimized HDD? Its name here is a ST1, also referred as a ST1. Here, the throughput optimized HDD is a low cost HDD. Here it is a that means very cheap. Here which is designed for some of the applications that requires a high throughput up to 500 Mbps. Here it is useful for the applications that are require the data to be frequently accessed. It is used for the that means the throughput optimized STD always used for the big data, data warehouse, log processing, and so on. It can be boot volume. Here, so it consists of additional volume, and then the size of the throughput hard hard disk can be 500 GB to 16 TB. It supports up to 500 IOPS. The next important one, cold SDD. What is a cold SDD? What are the specialty of this cold SDD, which is also called as a SC1? The cold HDD is a low cost storage which is designed for the application where the workloads are infrequently accessed. Here, which is useful when data is rarely accessed. That means it is used for the file server. It cannot be boot volume. And then the size of the cold hard disk, it can be 500 GB to 16 TB. It supports a 250 IOPS. The final one here is a magnetic volume. Here, what is a magnetic volume here? The magnetic volume is a low cost storage, and then it is a low cost storage for GB of all EBS volumes. Here, gigabytes of all volume. It is ideal for the application where a data accessed infrequently. It is useful for application where the low cost is important. The magnetic volume is the only hard disk which is bootable. That means you can say that it can be used as a boot volume. These are all some of the information regarding the all these. Yeah, if it comes to the AW EC2 dashboard, in the EC2 dashboard, yeah, let's start Beanstalk. Here you discussed these volume types. Here you may select any volume types. Based on that volume type, you may change the size IOPS. For example, the general purpose SSD. For that one, for example, I am selecting the provisional SSD. That means the size may be vary, and then IOPS input output operation for the per second also vary in this one. And then for example, if you select the cold HDD, you may having the throughput also will change. That means I am selecting the first, I am selecting general purpose SSD. Here the size may be, you may select one, the minimum here is a 1 GB, maximum this one, and then IOPS 15 for this one. And then throughput here is a not applicable here. And then the availability zone also very important here. You may select the different availability zones. That means I selected this one. In that one, uh, AP Pacific 1A 1B 1C, I may selecting the AP Pacific 1A from the Mumbai region. From the Mumbai region, I am selecting the AP Pacific. The snapshot ID, it is a optional one. You may give or not. And then coming to the tag, here sometimes you require tag. For example, name. Let us assume, for example, EC2, EC2 underscore. Let us assume for simple remember, and then create volume. Yes, created a successfully created the volume now. Here, if it comes to the volume EC2, the name of the EC2 tag, the name of the volume here is EC2 tag, and then it's having the some information regarding this one. Once I create a volume, better to create a next to create a EBS snapshot. Here, what is an EBS snapshot? The EBS snapshot is a backup of any EBS volume. Here you may take the different. That means what is a backup here? You may it's having a providing a backup facility, and then write a copy of data in a volume to. That means this copy it's in a S3 S3 storage where it is stored redundantly in a multiple availability zones. The multiple, for example, for the Mumbai region, A, B, C, three multiple availability zones are there. Here for these zones here, it is redundantly stored, and then snapshots are incremental backup, which means that only block on the device have the changed after you most recently snapshot saved. Here, the snapshot consists of all information that is needed to restore your data in the new volume. Here, you create the EBS volume based on the snapshot also. Here, by using base snapshot, you may create the EBS volume. The new volume begins as a exact replica of the original volume. Here, the next important thing, how to create the snapshot using console. How can you create the snapshot? Here you have a various steps are there for creating the snapshot. What are the various steps for creating the snapshot? First, go to the this one, the select and then select the snapshot under the elastic beam and then create snapshot and then select the resource type. Here I am selecting the resource type is a volume. Here you will select the resource type based on a instance also, and then from there you will select the snapshot. Here comes to the EC2 dashboard. Here if you comes to the EC2 dashboard, in this board you will have the elastic block storage. Under the elastic block storage you have a snapshot is there. Here create a snapshot. Snapshot is a backup for the EC2 volume. Here, if you want to create the volume, the select the resource type. The resource type may be a instance, based on instance, or volume. That means based on the volume, you are selecting the EC2 instance. The volume type may be a different here based on the volume type. That means for the volume here, select the volume, and then the entire description here is a option. That means you may select the volume here. Better you have a one volume is there already previously created the volume EC2 tag. Previously you created that volume. I am selecting that volume. Description is a optional one, and then you may give any description. After that, for this one also you may give a tag. For example, name of the tag. Name of the tag here is a, for example, EC2 snapshot. EC2 snapshot. I'm taking the name and then add that tag and then create snapshot. Yeah, created the snapshot successfully. If it comes to this one, create the snapshot successfully. Okay, next important thing here is a creating a multi-volume snapshot. How can you create the multi-volume snapshot? Here multiple volume snapshot. For creating that one, you have a different steps are there. Okay, you come here and then the select volume type. Here previously volume type is a volume. That means select the resource type volume previously. But here you will select the resource type as a instance. For that one, how can you do that one? Go to EC2 dashboard. Here comes to the EC2 dashboard. Here click on snapshot, create a snapshot. Under the snapshot, the select the resource type for the multi-volume instance snapshot. Here resource type here is a instance. Under this instance here you may select the multiple volumes here. That means it is a required one, but it's not having the multiple volumes. The filter that means no result from already that volume used for the some other purpose. That means you may select the different volumes and then encrypt it. After that you may create the multiple snapshot. This is a one of the way for creating the multiple snapshot. Okay, next important thing, you will create the volumes based on a instance. Here, that means first you have to create the instance. From the instance, you may create the one. Here, how can you create the instance? Go to instance. If it comes to the instance, here launch the instance. If you launch the instance, it will ask the selecting the instance type. Here, what is the instance type you are using? The instance type, I'm taking the so many instances are there. I'm taking the free instance. Yeah, it is a free for the eligible. The Microsoft Windows Server 2019 based with the container, and then I'm selecting that one, that instance. Based on the instance, you may select the different types of values. And then here you have a different previously you discussed about the all these concept here. The T2 micro, and then one CPU, they are giving one CPU 1 Gbps memory, 1 GB memory, and then come to the next. That means if you instances, different T2 instances, T3 instances, different instances are there. You may select any one here, but these are all cost. The T2 under T2, one instant T2 micro is there. Better if it is a demo, better use the T2 micro. The next configuration, that means you have a number of instances. You may create up to 20 different instances, but I am creating only one instance. And then the network here, already if you create the VPC previously, that means you did not create any VPC. Now I am using the default VPC, virtual private network. Under that one you may take the different subnets. You may use that one. I am using this one as a default. And then auto assign public ID. Here automatically assign, this is a very important thing. That means use subnetting enable, or enable this one. You may use that one. Enable means automatically assign a IP address for our instance. That means I'm using the use subnet settings, or enable. You may use anyone. Enable means automatically assign a IP address, and then different placement groups are there. You may use this one, that I'm taking the all are default. And then next add. Here if you add this one, very important one, that is for the storage. For the storage purpose, you have a, the first I am using the GPS. First GPS, different types are there. Provisioned IOPS SSD, and then provision IOPS SSD. Different IOPS are there. I'm adding volume. Here, if you add the volume, EBS volumes are there. EBS volume, different types of, we previously discussed the EBS volumes. You may use, I'm using here provisioned, provision IOPS SSD IO1 or IO2. You may use any one. And then the storage IOPS here is a, this one. I'm going to adding another EBS. And then here cold SSD I'm using. And then another one here, mm, throughput optimized HDD. That means see here IOPS, the variation is there, IOPS variation here. And then I'm adding another one, let us assume last one. But because why? Because all different types are there, I am using all these types. And then coming to this one, the add tag, very important. That is a, not now, but if you better practice EC2 window, you may use a number of tags here. The next, and then the security group. If you create the security group, that means you may assign a different rules here. That means I'm using the default rule, or you may add different rules for this one. HTTP rules, HTTPS rules. For example, I'm adding the HTTPS rules here. 0000/0 means any all allowing. And then coming to the this one, review, and then launch this one. Here at the time of launching, okay, I'm going to create a new pair. For example, Uma, um, key pair, Uma key pair. Let us assume I'm taking that one. Download this one. Yeah, you download it, key pair, and then launch instance. Yeah, that means view the instance. Here, that means not your concentration on not instance volumes. Here, that means if you comes to the volumes, yeah, you created that means you're creating the five different volume. Previously, I created a EC2 tag is one type of volume, and then EC2 window, EC2 window, different types of volumes I created. Okay, it is launching. Yeah, created different volumes, five different. Just now you created these five different volumes. Here volume type here is it is a standard volume. Here the standard volume you cannot modify the standard volume. For example, I want to modify the GP2 volume. Let us assume GP2 volume action, come to the action and then modify the volume. Here GP2 is a general purpose volume. You cannot modify this volume. For example, 40. That means modify that one. Yes, volume change. For example, when I'm trying to standard volume, I'm trying to changing the standard volume. Modify this one. When I'm trying to modify this one, it's not possible. I think so. Here, for example, size here is a 16. I'm taking. No, it's not happened. Yes, not modified that one. So 8 8 GB only. The size is 8 GB. You cannot modify the standard volume. That means you may modify the remaining volumes here. And then one of the important thing here is a create a snapshot for this volume. Create it. That means create a, how can you create the snapshot from the different availability zone? You may create a snapshot for the any one of the volume here. Here, any one of these volumes, you may create the snapshot. That means you may create the volume in a different zone, different EC2 availability zone. That means what is the EC2 availability zone? First, it comes to the snapshot. Here, click on snapshot. Just now you created a snapshot here, and then that means previously you created the snapshot. Using that snapshot, here come to the action part. In the under the action part, click on some information, create a snapshot option is there, create a volume, create that one. Here how can you create that one? That means for particular snapshot you may create the different availability zone. Here click on create volume. Here comes to this one. Here previously you create a AP1A. That means I'm going to changing that one. Yeah, previously you created the 1A, and then I'm going to changing that one as a 1B, and then create snapshot. Here the tag here is a, for example, name. Here is a, let us assume B. Let us assume I'm taking the B as a name of this one. Create that snapshot. Yes, we created the snapshot B. B here is a name. Yes, this comes to this one action part. Copy, click on copy. Here, if you click on copy here, Asia Pacific, here Mumbai, and then yes, previously it is in available in this. That means it will copy the new snapshot. That means I'm going to copy in a, for example, Asia Pacific Singapore. That means I'm going to copy this one. Copy this one. If you want to copy this information, a snapshot copy. One important thing you should remember. One snapshot is different region. Previously, the snapshot, first snapshot in a Mumbai. After that, you created this, you copy the snapshot in a Singapore. That means create a further one, create a image of this snapshot by clicking the action drop down menu. Here you have to create. That means it is in a first, it is in a Mumbai zone. I'm creating a snapshot for the other zone. That means you have to create the image. How can you create the image for that one? Click on this one, create image. Here the name of the image you will have the some. Yes, you may give a the image name. The image name, for example, let us take image image underscore Uma. The name of the image here is a image underscore Uma, and then description. The first the first image, let us assume description. That means I'm taking the default values, all are default values. You may add volume extra name and then create image. Yes, image was created. Here the next important, yeah, just now image created. You click on the AMI images are there here in the left side. Here you click on AMIs. Here just now image was created, image underscore Uma. That means you created that image. That means you have to launch that image. Why I'm getting this problem here? You are copying this image to different zones. That's why this is a copy of image. Launch the image. Next, configure that image. I'm taking same as it is, and then next. That means here creating the volume. That means how can you create the volume? That means already you go to the image. Here launch that image. You launch that particular image. Next, and then you launch the image. After launching the image, you have a instances appears like this. You may give name to second second instance. Save it. Yes, that means you are running the two different instances now. And then the next important task here is how can you add volumes to the instances? How can you add those volumes to the instance? Yeah, for adding the volumes to the instances, go to volumes. Here you have a different volumes are there, a number of volumes. For this one, I am easy to tag. I am taking this volume and then go to action part. Here you will identify the different things: attach volume, detach volume. I am going to attaching this volume. Here I am going to attaching this volume to the instance. What is the instance name? For example, you have a EC2 window running the one instance. Here, for example, device here is a XVD. For this one, I'm going to attach it. That means it is a very important thing here. You created volume, attach this volume directly from here onwards. Here, creating that means attach the volume. Yes, attach this easy to tag volume to the this one. Here it is running. If you want to see that instance, it is a volume added. That means you added this volume to different information instances. Okay, in this way,